Good day, everyone. My topic is all about personal discipline. Tell you honestly, this will be my second recording because what I recorded a while ago does not have audio. So I'm just sharing. Personal discipline refers to the system of rules, regulations, and procedures established by an organization to address and manage employee behavior and performance issues. It involves the application of corrective actions or sanctions to employees who violate workplace policies, codes of conduct, and standards of behavior. There are 11 agendas for this personal discipline: the introduction, norms of conduct, grounds for disciplinary action, jurisdiction, procedures for investigation, preventive suspension, penalties, petition for reconsideration, appeal, office facilities, supplies and equipment, and separation. In any organization, there is a system of rules, policies, standards, and procedures intended to regulate the conduct of employee based on accepted norms of efficiency, integrity, and morality. So this is also true in the government service. While the government emphasizes the positive aspects of discipline and rewards to those who contribute significantly to the attainment of its objectives and goals, it continues to weed out undesirables. So I'm sorry if I just read my script because all I want to say is written here. So personal discipline typically involves a progressive approach, um, starting with informal counseling or verbal warnings for minor infractions and escalating to more formal disciplinary actions for repeated or serious violations. So, how can we tell that personal discipline is effective? So, if it requires a clear communications of expectations, consistent enforcement of policies, and adherence to due process principles to ensure fairness and equity for all employees. So, moving on, we have here norms of conduct. There are 8. So, these norms of conduct is what an employee should embody. So, you should set an example in observing the following standards of personal conduct among civil servants in the discharge of and execution of official duties. So, first is the commitment to public interest. So, you must always put the interest of the public whom you serve over and above your personal interest. You are their servant and not their ruler. So, as a public servant, we must always listen to what the public wants as their servants because they are our rulers. Thus, between your personal or family affairs and the services that are needed by the people. So, what do you think is as a public servant chose? So, it is very important and it is very essential to know that as a public servant, we must always put the public first aside from our family and our personal self. So public first. So next is professionalism. You join the civil service as your personal decision. You must therefore do your assigned work with utmost devotion and dedication to duty and with the highest degree of excellence, professionalism, intelligence, and skill. Never believe that your position allows you to extend undue favors or patronage. So you must be professional in all aspects. So there must be fairness. You must treat everyone unfairly. Justice, justness, and sincerity. You must be true to the people you serve at all times. You must not treat the poor and the underprivileged less importantly than anyone. You must give them your personalized attention if possible. So this is very rampant in our community nowadays that kung kinsa ang mas powerful, kung kinsa ang mas arang-arang, so they must, the mindset of the people is always na ma-treat sila better, unlike sa mga poor or underprivileged. But as a public servant, we must not mistreat them. Instead, we must show equality between people. So regardless of their race, their income, we must treat them fairly. In fact, we will. or we must give them our personalized attention because they are the one who needed us the most. They are the one who has this like needs, like wants. So we must attend to them attentively. So political neutrality, you must not consider the party affiliation of the public as a reason to serve them sloppily or unprofessionally. You should not also show your political colors or um, prejudices. So, as a citizens of the Republic of the Philippines, so we all know that we have this like partido, but then that partido should not be the reason why you treat other people fairly or sloppily or unprofessionally. Not just because you don't share the same political party, dili na mo siya tratuhon og ayo. Ay kana siya kuan man na siya ni kana siya tawo man na siya ni kuan so nga na ya. That is not acceptable if you are a public servant. You must instill in you the heart of a true public servant. Next is responsiveness to the public. Your primary concern is to help deliver services to the public accurately, promptly, and speedily. If you can deliver it yourself, do so at once. Skip the office procedures that cause red tape. You should not delay action and requests from persons who transact simple matters with your agency, especially if they come from economically depressed areas. So we must be responsive to the public, especially if layo pa bitay lang gigikanan. And then, sometimes manggod, we are not that responsive that we tend to kanang neglect na nato ang ubang tawo, which is layo pa sila gigikanan. And with that, we must be responsive to their needs and also to what they want. Next is nationalism and patriotism. So I believe that this is very familiar to all of us since we are in a world, in a colonia. Should I say colonia? We are in a world where we are being like nasakop lata sa K-dramas, K-pops, and other foreign mga activities. So, there is one office act or activity that you should not miss. Flag racing and flag retreat. So, as a Filipino and as a public servant, we must always attend to flag racing ceremonies and flag retreat ceremonies in order to show our nationalism to our democracy, as well as memorizing or still familiarized with the panunumpa sa watawat and reciting it with feelings and seriousness. And also, shall we talk about patriotism? Most of us are using foreign products na. We are not patronizing our own. But then that's good because our world is evolving. But what makes it bad is that because most of our products are now imported, that doesn't help our economy. So before we import some products or any other necessities, we must patronize first our own goods. And they are better quality than those made abroad. So often, ang atong mga products diri is mas naapay quality, mas affordable pa sa gawas sa nasod. So why settle anang mga baligya sa gawas nga gikan sa foreign when we have our very own products that will help us, and in that way, we can help the people who are crafting that goods and products, and at the same time, makasave pa ta sa toa because they are way cheaper than the foreign items. Next is the commitment to democracy. Always put your loyalty to your country above your loyalty to your persons or political country. So we can show our loyalty to our country by patronizing or by upholding the Constitution, living the principle of public accountability, transparency, and always putting civilians' concerns first before us. So simple living, as long as you are a government employee, you must not indulge in extravagance or ostentatious display of whatever wealth you may have. So as a public servant, it doesn't mean that you need to be luxurious, you need to live life. It is not a requirement to live a luxurious life, but it is a requirement to live life with full of ideals and advocacies. And that, as a public servant, our very important advocacy is to help to serve the public. Next is, as these norms are presented as homilies, this is not international. Their very nature lends to this manner of discussion. So, you must accomplish and submit a declaration under oath of your assets, liabilities, net worth, and financial and business interests, including those of your spouse and of unmarried children under 18 years of age living below. You must avoid conflict of interest at all times by resigning from your positions in any private business enterprise within 30 days from your assumption of office. So in the performance of duties, you are under obligation to, so there are 4 obligations that you are under in performing your duties. Firstly, act promptly on letters and requests within 15 working days from receipt and respond to letters or other means of communication sent by the public. Your reply must contain the action of the request. So this emphasizes the importance of responsiveness and efficiency in addressing correspondence and requests from the public. So we must be responsive at all times. So that's according to our norms of conduct as well. So action 2. Process documents and papers expeditiously by having not more than 3 signatures for their completion. So this suggests that documents and papers should be handled in a timely manner by limiting number of signatures required for their completion to no more than 3. This also help minimize delays, improve responsiveness to the public, and ensure the government services are delivered in a timely and effective manner. Next is act immediately on the public's personal transactions by attending to anyone who wants to avail himself of the services of your agency. So the government agencies organization should prioritize attending to individuals by seeking assistance or services without unnecessary delays. So by promptly addressing the needs of the citizens, agencies demonstrate their commitment to serving the public interest and meeting the expectations of they serve. Lastly, make documents readily available for inspection by the public within reasonable working hours. This is to show transparency and accountability, also allowing citizens to understand how public resources are being used and to participate in the democratic process. Next are the grounds for disciplinary action. So there are a lot, and I bet we all know na this. So those are a lot of grounds for disciplinary action, including dishonesty, oppression, neglect of duty, conviction of a crime involving moral turpitude, conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service. So there are a lot. So we must instill that to us. We must always remember that for future purposes. Next is the jurisdiction. So jurisdiction is the power to hear and determine cases of the general class to which the proceedings belongs. So it is an administrative proceedings may be initiated by initiated against you by your department head or office head. So when the penalty imposed is suspension of not more than 30 days or a fine in an amount not exceeding 30 days salary, the decision of your head of office is final and executory. When the penalty is suspension for more than 30 days' salary, you may initially appeal to your department head, then to the Civil Service Commission. So that is if there is a file initiated against you by your department or office head. So if the penalty is suspension for more than 30 days salary, so this will be the procedures for investigation. The complainant shall submit sworn statements and those of his witnesses together with the documentary evidence. If on the basis of such papers a prima facie case is found not to exist, your case shall be dismissed. But what is this prima facie? That is very important. If it is not found to exist, okay, it will result to dismissal of your case. So prima facie is a Latin term that translates to at first sight or on its face. In legal context, it refers to the evidence or a case that on initial examination appears to be sufficient to prove a particular fact or establish a claim unless rebutted or contradicted by additional evidence. So, a prima facie is a sufficient na siya nga evidence for that certain actions. So, if a prima facie case exists, you shall be notified in writing of the charges together with copies of the complaint, sworn statements, and other documents submitted. So, you will be given 72 hours. You will be given 72 hours of receipt of the complaint to answer the charges in writing under oath. So together with supporting sworn statements and documents wherein you shall indicate whether or not you elect authority shall dismiss your case. Decision shall be rendered by the disciplining authority within 30 days from the termination of the said investigation. So in pursuant to Section 34, Rule 8, 2017 Rules on Administrative Cases in the Civil Service, it is a formal investigation of the case shall be conducted in two instances. First, where the merits of the case cannot be decided judiciously without conducting such investigation, or second, when the respondent elects to have one. Next is we have here preventive suspension. So what is this preventive suspension? So preventive suspension is a temporary measure wherein an employee is temporarily barred from performing their duties or entering the workplace while an investigation into alleged or misconduct wrongdoing is ongoing. It is typically imposed as a precautionary measure to prevent the employees from interfering with the investigation, tampering with evidence, or causing further harm or disruption in the workplace. So, you may be placed under preventive suspension in pending investigation if the charge against you involves dishonesty, disloyalty, oppression, or grave misconduct or neglect in the performance of duty, or if there are reasons to believe that you are guilty of charges which would warrant your removal from service. So, preventive suspension is not a disciplinary action, but it is a preventive measure in order to ensure justness and fairness during the procedures. Kasi there are tendencies kasi nga, if dili ka like barred from your duty, there are possibilities that there will be tampering of evidence or there will be a more serious problems that may occur in the workplace. So, during preventive suspension, the employees is typically entitled to receive a portion of their salary or benefits, although this may vary depending on the specific circumstances and applicable laws or regulations. The disciplining authority should decide your case within 90 days after the date of your suspension. Otherwise, you shall be automatically reinstated in the service. So, if after 90 days, wala pa ka-decide ang disciplining authority, then automatically you will be reinstated in your position. So, by imposing a deadline for the disciplining authority to decide on that case, this requirement helps protect the rights of the employee and ensures that they are not unfairly kept in the suspension for an extended period without resolution. So it promotes fairness, transparency, and efficiency in the disciplinary process, while also providing clarity on the consequence of delays in decision making. So let's dive down to the penalties. So there are, I bet, 8 or 7 penalties. So first is the reprimand, defined in amount not exceeding 6 months, suspension for not more than 1 year without pay, demotion in rank, transfer, removal from service, imprisonment not exceeding 5 years. So transfer, you can be transferred to another department or even to another branch of your company. Next is petition for reconsideration. Petition for reconsideration is a formal request submitted to a higher authority such as court, board, or governing body asking them to review and reconsider their decision or ruling. It typically involves arguments, evidence, or legal grounds that support why the decision should be reconsidered or overturned. So you can file a petition for reconsideration if you have evidence. Nakagather na po ka og evidence after sa decision, nakagather ka og evidence nga feel nimo mo support jud siya or dili na nimo feel nga dapat mo support jud siya sa imong kuan para ang claim nila nga guilty ka will be null and void. So this petition for reconsideration process provides an opportunity for parties dissatisfied with the decision to present additional information or address any errors or misunderstanding that may have influenced the original decisions. So you may file a petition for reconsideration based on the following grounds. So there are 3. So first is this new evidence has been discovered which will materially affect the decisions when their decision is not supported by evidence on record. So this refers to the identification of evidence that was not available or known at the time on the original decision. So makonsider nimo nga mag-file og petition for reconsideration if there are new evidence nga na-discover ka which will makaapekto sa decision nila nga wala pa na siya nimo nakuha atong wala pa ang final decision. So project after final decision is na kay nakalap nga evidence that would greatly affect the decision. Next is decision is not supported by evidence on record. So the petitioner contends that the decision made was not adequately supported by the evidence presented during the proceedings. So maka-file po ka petition for reconsideration if ang evidence sa pikas kuan is wala siya nag-coincide sa ilahang claims. So you can file a petition for reconsideration. And also errors of law or irregularities committed prejudicial to your interest were found. So the petitioner asserts that the decision maker made legal mistakes or procedural errors that unfairly affected their interests or rights. So they seek a reconsideration based on rectifying these errors and ensure fair and lawful resolution of that matter. Next is appeal. Appeal. If an employee who feels aggrieved by the decision of the disciplining authority may file a petition with the agency for reconsideration of the decision. So decision of heads or departments, agencies, and instrumentalities, provinces, and cities and municipalities imposing penalties exceeding 30 days suspension or in a fine in amount of exceeding may be appealed to the commission within 15 days from receipt of a copy of the decision. So notice of appeal specifying the date of the so how does petition for reconsideration differs from appeal? So you can file a petition for reconsideration 30 days to 60 days prior to the final decision. So after the final decision, you're given 30 to 60 days para mukala pa og evidence nga maka-greatly affect sa decision nila last. You can file a petition for reconsideration. And also, petition for reconsideration is used para aning 3 ka grounds niya. Pag na naka-evidence nga makuha na pod nga maka-affect, pag decision is not supported by evidence on record, kung ilang decision is wala nag-coincide sa ilang evidence, and also if na errors of law, mao na siya grounds for petition for reconsideration. While ang an appeal is you are challenging their decision. You are nag-challenge siya kasi ng decision niya. You think there are and then appeal is you can file an appeal 30 to 90 days. So mas taas siya kaysa sa petition for reconsideration. Office supplies, facilities, and equipment. So tables and chairs, calculators, typewriters, and other expendable items that last longer than 1 year are some equipment provided for you to facilitate the completion of your work. So we need to use them with care as you would of your personal things. Wipe off the dust in the machine and table assigned to you. Do not use your clerical chair as a rocking chair. In short, let us be professional during working hours. So you're expected to use judiciously office supplies such as bond paper, pens, pencils, envelopes, and others. Not to the extent nga apil ang mga schoolwork sa ato mga manghod, ato mga igsuon, dito na nato i-print. Office supplies is for office activities only, not for your family members. Also, department and other large agencies usually have a medical and dental clinics. So it is very important nga na medical clinics in order to maka first aid if something happens within an organization. Next are their facilities. So library. It is to maintain your office to facilitate research work and to serve as a source of reading materials. The library should regularly acquire books for employees' use. A conference room serves as a convenient place for meetings, seminars, or training programs. So, but then the schedule of that, the use of that conference room should be coordinated in order not to overlap with other schedules. So, the service vehicle. So you need to take care of service vehicle if you are provided in your seminar or business trip. So lastly, we have here the separation. So there are a lot of things, no? So separation from service is not only upon your retirement or your death, but it has a lot of so during resignation, your optional retirement, filing of COC, and abandonment of office. This abandonment of office is when you file a leave of absence, but then in that span of time, and after that span of time, wala pa ka naibalik, then that's abandonment of office already. So for the involuntary, we have your compulsory retirement, reorganization, separation for disciplinary reason, expiration of termination of appointment, abolition of the office or your position, unsatisfactory or poor performance, reduction in force, physical and mental unfitness. So that will be the grounds for you. So para i-separate ka from the service. There are voluntary and involuntary. So for the conclusion, personal discipline is a critical aspect of organizational management aimed at maintaining order, accountability, and adherence to established policies and regulations. It encompasses a range of corrective measures, including reprimands, fines, suspensions, demotions, transfers, and even removal from office. Moreover, personal discipline should be complemented by efforts to prevent misconduct through training, communication, and the promotion of ethical behavior, thus contributing a culture of professionalism, respect, and integrity within the organization. So as a future public servant, we must instill to us those norms of conduct. We must always remember those grounds for disciplinary action, and we must perform our duties well. Thank you, and God bless us all.